السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Inshallah, we continue with our very first parenting session that we're going to have. Last time we gave a little introduction about parenting, the parenting meetings that we're going to be having, and these short videos to let us know about the parenting and some things that we should be looking out for as parents, some of the issues that we may be facing, and how to take care of them and how to see them from an Islamic perspective and how to deal with them Islamically. So, the very first one is a hot topic for you, which is going to be all about disciplining. Okay, disciplining children. Are we allowed to discipline our children? Okay, if so, what are some of the methods that we are allowed to discipline our children? And then the big question is, are we allowed to discipline our children physically, right? And if so, to what extent, right? Is it allowed? So, is it allowed for a parent to discipline the children? Absolutely, yes, right? And it is now a lot of people nowadays they're looking at this discipline and they say like, well, everything is it can be treated with love and positivity and all of these things. But the reality is human beings don't really work unless there is we work with the carrot and the stick. That's how we operate. And if you want proof on this, Allah mentioned Jannah and hellfire the same exact amount of times in the Quran. We need Jannah for something to be looking forward to, the reward. We need hellfire to avoid, to want to avoid the bad things, so we can make it Jannah, so we can avoid this punishment that is out there for the person who does bad. And it is from that perfect justice is that there is punishment for the evildoer and there is reward for the person who does good. And if you go outside of that system, you would have an unbalanced relationship. This will be an unjust. So parents who are focusing only on loving their children and thinking that this is a correct method of raising the children, that's wrong because they do need discipline. They do need a consequence for their actions, right? So if everything is going to be treated by just love, that's not going to get us there. There needs to be, okay, you did this, so this had to happen because you did this. Because if they don't see this in your household, and this is the number one job of a parent, which is to prepare the children for the outside world. So if they didn't prepare the children properly, right, these children will fail in the outside world because they go outside and see the reality. And this here is a great example. So if the parent does not teach the children, okay, and give them consequences for their action, and the children are raised without consequences, and now they grow to the outside world, seeing that the world is always going to give them consequences for their action. You did not prepare them for the outside world. You raised them with the notion that they're going to live in your home forever, and that's not true. They're only staying there for a little bit, and then you're gonna let them loose, get them to go to the outside world, and then they're gonna be dealing with it there. So you need to give them the tools that they need. One of which is to give them this balance, a balance of life, okay, discipline and reward. So let's talk about discipline. So now that we figured out this important point, which is can parents discipline the children? Of course, and they should. There should be a discipline mechanism in place for the parents, and it should be known to the children also. All right, now disciplining the children. Now this is it can be used in one of two ways. Some people use the discipline as a way of taking out their anger. So parents are angry, so they're like, okay, I'm angry, so I have to yell at the kid, or I have to hurt him, or I have to do something to him to take out my anger, my frustration. Is this a correct way of disciplining? No, right? Why is this not a correct way? Well, first of all, your child will obviously notice this is like a channel because of the anger. It's not because there is no love there, right? There is no care there. It's selfish of me taking my anger out on you. It's not because I want you to do good, but it is because I want to make myself feel better. This is why I'm doing this. And comes across to the child, right? Teachers do this, parents do this, the principals do this, or school systems or administration, they do this to children. And the children are able to distinguish it. Is this for care? Is this for somebody who's being disciplining me, right? And he's not mad or he's not angry, but he just wants good for me. He's giving me, and this is the healthy way of disciplining. I am doing this, right, to make you better. I want to make you a better person. right? This is why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this because I'm angry at you or I'm mad at you or because I want to make myself feel better, but I'm doing this because I want you better. And this is the best way the person should be going about the disciplining of the children, that they're doing it from a point of view or a perspective of, again, I want you better. I care for you. That's why I'm giving you this discipline. Can the parents discipline the children physically? Yes, absolutely. They can discipline the children physically. Now, should this be a go-to type of discipline? No, it shouldn't. The great example, the Prophet ﷺ had never hit a woman or a child, ever, right? And if he didn't, why would you or why should you, right? Um, but he did tell us that, and this is to show here that there is a legitimacy to it sometimes, right? That he said that for the children, we said teach them the salah, or tell them to do this, or command them to pray at the age of 7, okay? And if he refused to pray, like after the age of 10, okay, like if the person is at the age of 10 or going above that, then if he refusing, force him. Even if using physical force, he said use physical force, right? So the hitting here, or the discipline, physical discipline, to make the child pray. And this here can come across as harsh, especially to people 21st century. Is like, whoa, what? This we're gonna beat the children or like hurt the children. First of all, it's never beat. It's never beat, right? So physical discipline to children is never beat, right? It is correction to the child. And yeah, so any physical discipline to children, it cannot be something that leaves a bruise. It cannot be something that leaves a mark. It cannot be something that breaks a bone. It cannot be anything like that. It cannot be something that they would feel the pain for, days to come and so on. So it's nothing like that, right? It is, the parent is using this physical force to, if again, I tried different ways and none of them is working. And again, the best of all of this, that we don't resort to this altogether, right? But teaching the child to have this self mechanism. Why do we fast in a month of Ramadan? To achieve taqwa. What is taqwa? God consciousness. If you're able to install this God consciousness in your child, right, that will suffice them, right, from ever getting discipline or from falling into a lot of mistakes, because you're basically hiring a cop or a policeman to watch your child without you being there, because you can tell the child, like, don't do that bad thing, right? But once you turn your back, they start doing it, right? But if you make the child responsible enough that they're watching their own stuff, or like they are observing that Allah is watching them at all times, then they will not be doing this bad thing, and you don't really need to be there. So they will do the right thing whether you're with them or not. And this is the best, and this is you don't achieve this with physical discipline. You achieve this with giving them a proper understanding to the child, giving a proper understanding and having them understand the religion in a proper way. So anyway, that's in a nutshell a little bit about the discipline and how we should be using the discipline again to direct the child to the correct way, but not to take our anger out on the child, and not to use it as a channel to make ourselves feel better, but to make the child become a better person. That's what the discipline should be for. And again, the best example is the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he had never hurt a female or a child, okay? And this is the best of ways, right? And it shows again the seriousness that we are allowed to discipline the children physically if needed, but this for something so big as the prayer, right? Like we're using force to make the child. And this is at that age. And again, we didn't really get to finish this segment, so I'm finish it really fast before we end, which is why is this done for the prayer? Well, you're basically trying to get the child in the habit. So you reach the age of 10, he's supposed to be responsible enough to pray. So you're trying to get him into the habit of praying. You're not going to obviously be doing this for the rest of his life. Once he reach the age of puberty, he's basically an adult in Islam, right? So it's done. So you're trying to just get him into the habit that his daily routine, you already have installed in him that the 5 daily prayers, he has to be keeping up with them. Now, he may not pray later on. He may not be a Muslim later on. Whatever happens later on, as long as you did your best, it doesn't matter. I did my best, right? So discipline can be a tool again, and it should not be the goal. It's only a mean that we use to direct the child to the straight path. We ask Allah to make us from those who follow the footsteps of our Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we ask Allah to make us from those who will follow his footsteps, the footsteps of our Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, until the day we meet him. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.